Hello everyone, how are you feeling today? It's Eros everyone here, and today, as I promised in my face reveal video, which you haven't checked that out, go check it right now. I will leave either a card or whatever up there as well. Go check it right now. I'm kind of like discussing few things and talking about other little YouTubers. Go check it right out. I said I will do I said I will do an update for this. And I do. But, like, there is one thing, though. There are some cards here that I'm missing, and cards here that from Ignition Assault are technically out in the sneak peek, but I kind of don't really have the time to get them, and if the time that I will get them is going to take a while, so I decided to just proxy them out, or should I say, like, take cards and write the names of the cards that I mean on them, like, you'll see in a second. But anyway, this is a 60 card Vendread, as you can see. You're probably asking yourself, like, but you like mostly 40 cards deck. And why would you run 60? Well, I came to the conclusion this is a deck that, have a little bit of a problem of, like, if you run way too much, like, you have to run some specific cards way too much, but you don't want to see a lot of them way too much in your hand. And because of that, I decided, like, there is also the idea is, like, you can add more consistency engines and make seeing all of the cards in your deck a little bit less. But you open up with some particular cards, they are always starters. Does that make sense? I will explain to you guys which cards are just starters in the deck. At the end of the deck profile, I will show you, like, before we'll go to the extra, which cards are just starters in the deck. And there are a lot of them. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. So starting things off with the usual lineup that I love to run is 2 Battlelord, 2 Slayer, and the 1 Executor. The only one I want to bump up in this is this guy. He's so important, especially with the effect that he can block hand traps, and Nibiru is absolutely amazing, and you can do a ton of shenanigans with him. Executor became less important, but still really nice and still awesome that we got a super rare. And Slayer, I still think, like, there's some people who still make the mistake that they need to run 3 of this, but because it's so searchable and you have forgot that pre-preparation of Right can also add a card back from the graveyard, like a ritual monster from the graveyard to your hand, this card is not needed in more than 2. It's just not necessary. It's a brick in more than 2. These 2 guys have the effect to search a ritual or a spell or a ritual spell monster, like a ritual monster or a ritual spell, and they don't have to be Vendread. Just going to say that out loud. A lot of people mistake that. They don't have to be Vendread, and they also send the Vendread monster from your deck to the graveyard when they get sent to the graveyard after they've been ritual summoned. So these guys are great. 5 of them. You don't need more. Then you have the little guys, which are 4 of them. And this one is finally an ultra rare, which is pretty awesome for me. Let's get over them really quickly. This one, you send a Vendread card when it's in the graveyard, and then you get to special summon it. This one, when you get to send to the graveyard, you get to not banish, but like show a Vendread card in your hand, special summon it. This one, you banish a zombie, special summon it. This one, you banish itself from the graveyard, special summon one of your banished Vendread cards, and then you lock yourself for zombies, but you also special summon it as a monster. So these guys all, like these 3, when they summon themselves from the graveyard with their effect, you banish when they leave the field, and they all give a particular effect. The most important effects are this one and this one. This is the most important one. Now, they're also the level 4-1 Revenant, but his recursion effect is so bad. So it's like his revival effect is so bad, it's like it's not worth running at all. And these are the ones that is worth running. Some people even say that an Anima is not really good enough, but I think it's good enough with the free special summon, because sometimes you banish way too much of your Vendreads and you want them back. And I think with Ruling, it can special summon a ritual monster that you properly summoned, so that was banished. So yeah. Anyway, speaking of ritual monsters, we run the mini incantation engine, which run only 1 of each of the monsters. Just 1 of each. Also 1 of the ritual spell, but we didn't get to that. You're probably asking yourself, like, why do you run only 1 of each? And why to begin with do you even run the incantations? Because the incantations do, stop you from summoning from the extra deck? Well, first off, Chalice Slime is so searchable, like I said, with Ritual Monster, Ritual Monster Searcher, Battle Lord. So when you send it to the graveyard, you get to search this. And then you can also search your Ritual spell for incantations immediately, discard it, find a way, then get this off the field, then get this on the field, so the Ritual Monster, whatever you want, and then just tribute it. And the reason, because of that, is this is a small engine, because these are recovery or whatever, or if you open up with them in your hand, you're able to summon one of the other ones, and like I said, whatever. But like, this one is the most important one, and he's the most searchable one, and you don't need to play one. And all of these, like, if you play more than one of them, they're brick. But if you play one of each of them, they're absolutely amazing. And I will show you guys in a combo video, which I said I will do it a lot more earlier, if you guys will sub to those guys with the goals that I gave you. Yeah, like I said, it's like this is really, really amazing, and these are just absolutely an awesome idea that, like, oh my god, you don't need to play two of each of those. You just need to play one, and they work amazingly. Trust me, they do. I don't know why, but they do. So that's pretty much it for that. Now we'll move on to the zombie engine, which you have a big chunk of zombie engine. Like, oh wow, you have a big zombie engine. Let's start with the obvious ones. These three. You only need one of each. I don't need more than one of each, especially now that you can search Banshee with a greater of ease with a particular card from the extra deck that I added. It's just so easy, and you only need 2 cards to get her in the graveyard with a Beatrice, and then be able to get this to the graveyard to then special summon this and have Zombie World on board. It's just really, really easy, and you don't really need more than each and every single one of this. Like, if you ever want to bump something, it's probably this, but then you also need to bump Zombie World, which I'm playing at 1, and I don't really see any reason to play more than that. It's important, but it's not super important. That's the biggest beauty about this deck. It's like, it's important. All of the cards are important, but like, they're not super important, and that's what I made here. It's like, you want to see them, but they're not super important. Speaking of important, Free Solitaire. This guy is the one that search, or should I say summon, this guy, which is probably one of the most, if not the most important monster in your deck. I wouldn't say the most important, but like in terms of your effect monster, it's probably the most important one, because, at least in the zombie engine, because it just does so much. Free Mizuki's, which is your free monster reborns. I am considering maybe cutting this a little bit, but I still really, really like it. And then lastly, 1 copy of Gozuki and 1 copy of Shinobi Necro. Gozuki is just served as another kind of like Uni-zombie, but a little bit worse, but also have the special summon from the hand, which is nice. And Shinobi Necro is just really, really good. You banish it with your ritual spell for summon of a zombie or whatever. You get the special summon himself from the banished, but banish it when you leave the field. And then when you summon a zombie, you get to draw and discard a card, which is pretty, pretty nice. And this is pretty much the standard things that I use. Now to the 5 new additions of the deck, which some of them, like 3 of them are going to come as you as a surprise. Well, because it's free Goblin Zombie. Now, I know that some of you in the that watching this video are going to raise an eyebrow and say, like, why Goblin Zombie? Why Goblin Zombie is even good? Well, he's actually absolutely amazing. The fact that he's not a hard one per turn, the fact that, like, you can ritual summon or summon from the deck, which you do have cards of those, and get to them really, really easily. Summon him, then get him off the board with that ritual monster. Get a search for whatever you want. Get dump something to the graveyard and search for a Mizuki or something to set your graveyard up, and then just bring this to continue search. It's just so good. Seeing this guy is just very, very important. Even seeing him in multiples is not a bad idea. And worst case scenario is just a pitch card, and if you really don't want to, you can just switch this for Ash or something. But I think this card is ridiculously good. Like, it is. It became a lot better than we think it is. Even though, what her name again is banned, Summon Sorceress, it's still a pretty good card. And then lastly, the 2 ones that I proxy, Jocko Bolin. Jocko Bolin is a level 7 zombie, super rare, just to let you guys a little bit more info on that, to how to find it. And he's a level 7 with 24 defense, I believe, fire, zombie with the following effect. You discard a zombie monster from your hand, special summon it. During your opponent's turn, you get the ability to banish him, then target a card in the monster in the graveyard, special summon it, zombie monster in your graveyard, special summon it to your side of the field, but banish it when you leave the field, and then he return during the end phase. Now, normally it's not the most amazing effect, but you also have to remind yourself that you have Zombie World probably on board, which means that you can take any monsters that they have in your graveyard, which is pretty awesome. Also, it's just a free special summon. Another card that just special summon and help you play and also kind of like set up your graveyard and get rid of like a useless card, like could be like useless card in your hand, like a ritual monster. It's just really nice. And 2 copies of this seems to working quite fine. And that pretty much does it for the monsters. Now we'll move on to the spells. We'll start off with the ritual spells. These don't really need any explanation. This one is the searchable but pre-prep. This one I actually bumped up to 3 because it's very important, a lot more. But like I said, because you play 60, you see this less as double off. But even if you say this as double off, you can just discard it. And it's actually really important. And then one of this, because it's part of the Incantation engine, and it's helped you quite a bit, and its recovery effect is also pretty awesome. Then, for other Ritual Love, we run 3 copies of this thing, which is pre-prep, and 3 copies of normal prep. These are obvious, I don't think I need to explain those. Then comes something that is actually pretty strange-ish, but I came to the conclusion it's actually really good. So first off, we have a field spells package. First off, Zombie World. This is just a searchable card for whatever. Then, Vendread Knights, right? Makes a little bit of sense. You want maybe to have a field spell that is kind of like discarding for you a card from your hand and search for you a Vendread card. But what do I tell you? Sometimes I don't like the spells, and I want to search a ritual spell. Well, we also run Ritual Sanctuary. So, the way that this works is this one serves as the card for, the, Zombie World or whatever, and I want to also have Terraform to kind of like make this a little more searchable. So, technically, you're playing 2 of each of these field spells, Knights is just your way to search the ritual monster or the Vendread monsters that you want with the greater of ease. This one is just to search the rituals, the ritual spells with a greater of ease. I don't think you have a fairy in your extra deck that you can just revive with it. But if you really want to, you could just add a fairy to your deck that actually there is one if you're not using it for extra Foolish Burial, which is Herald of Arclight. But mostly it's not going to happen. But generally, this sounds a little bit weird, but these also serve as searchers. Now again, if you don't like them, and you don't like these 3 cards, you can add something like Allure, or Ash Blossom, or whatever, but I just found those to be really awesome. They're giving you a field spell, they're giving you additional effect on top of that, if you're able to get it off, and they're giving you the ability to maybe discard a card that you don't really want in your hand anyway, and use it as a foolish effect, and just generally just be good. So, I like these. Like I said, you can do whatever you want with it. 3 charge. Another discard outlet for a zombie monster from your hand to summon a Vendread from your deck. Have to be the effect monsters. And this card is absolutely ridiculously awesome. You can discard your Goblin Zombie, Mizukis, whatever you don't need in your hand. Really important. Help you set up the graveyard. Speaking of graveyard, 3 copies of Called by the Grave. This card is just to stop your opponent hand traps from stopping you. Another graveyard-related card is Foolish Burial. Pretty awesome. 2 copies of extra Foolish Burial. Yes, I know I proxy with 1 Foolish Burial goods, but you want to run 2 extra Foolish Burials because this card is sending this card, which then give you a search to any ritual you want. Most of the time it's not the most ideal thing because sometimes you want to sell Herald or Arclight to your combos, but sometimes you have to. It's kind of not your choice. And then the last spell is Monster Reborn. To round off you to 60. Of course, there are some cards here that you can decide to cut for whatever reason you want, but I love this deck. This is a 60 card deck that I'm really proud of. Extra deck, however, might need a little bit of work. So first off, let's start with the extra deck. Extra deck is going to be shown and first off, we're going to start with the synchros. First off, Herald of Arclight, really important. Stardust Charge Warrior, not the most important, but still pretty nice. F.A. Dawn Dragster, negation, kind of important. Shooting Riser Dragon, a Foolish Barrel, kind of an effect, so you can use it for like maybe Foolish Barrel, something like your whatever, and then set up for next turn. It's not. It is like one of the cards I'm considering cutting down, but it's still pretty nice, I guess. Omega, and then Borreload Savage, which I do think that those two are just mandatory. There's not even an explanation why of those. Like Borreload Savage is just absolutely mandatory in this extra deck. Omega also kind of, but like these two are just the most important ones. These are just secondary important, and these one are like, they're okay. This one's actually serves a little bit of a purpose for the draw card, but like, I am not sure really 100% about the synchros, and that's why I said to you guys, like, I'm not 100% sure about the extra deck 100%, and if you guys can help me, I will be more than happy to hear your thoughts. Beatrice. This card became even more crazier and useful than usual, because there is one particular extra deck monster that I run, which I unfortunately have to proxy, which makes this really easy to bring out. And his name is Pazzolomino, I think the name, how you pronounce it. Don't remember the full name, but the idea is like, you summon a monster to his zone, and then he can change its level between 1 to 8. So you summon like something, let's say, Striges from the graveyard, you special summon it, you make it level 6, then you summon your Slayer, it's also level 6, boom, Beatrice. It's really, really awesome. It's just really great. So one copy of that actually really helped, and it's also helped for the ritual itself. One copy of Cross Sheep, which is also a proxy because it's a card from Ignition Assaults. It's the one that lets you, if you summon a particular mechanic to its link arrows to do something, which is mostly you want to do fusions and rituals. If you summon a ritual, it lets you to draw 2 and discard 2, which is absolutely ridiculous. This is a ritual deck that also loves the graveyard. Drawing 2 and discard 2 is absolutely ridiculous, and because of that, this card is absolutely awesome. One copy of Vampire Sucker because it's mandatory in a way. One copy of Vendread Savior because it's part of your combos and it's really, really important. I really want to find a way to add a second one, but it's like, it's less important, but it's also kind of important. It's a weird one. It's really, really good. I am considering, like I said, cutting maybe Shooting Riser Dragon, to add a secondary copy of this, because it's probably the card I'm least sure about, but like this one is just, it's also really, really fine as one. Then we have Phoenix, Unicorn for your mandatory removals, and then the 2 Link Force, which one of them could be Borrelsword, but I just gone with Borreload because Borrelsword is another deck and I'm too lazy to take it out, but it could be Borrelsword. And then probably one of my favorite Link monsters, and probably one of the best one, if not the best one, Link in the format, and that is one copy of Mech Knight Crusadia Grandpa Max. There's a joke behind that I get, you guys don't get if you're not part of the Discord things that I mentioned, but whatever. This one is really, really awesome. Trust me, like, is really, really great. Of course, you can always cut this one and put something else, but I think, like, overall, I think the extra is kind of cheap. I don't think there's something, like, is super high price, maybe except from these two, but you can always put a Crystal Wing instead, and instead of this, you can put, like, a Cerberus or something, which is also serve as something. But the rest of this, I would say, like, you do need to save some, like, put some particular cards in your extra deck, which is Vendread Savior, Sucker, Cross Sheep, Puzzle Dynamo, Beatrice, some kind of a negation, could be Clear Wing, and then this one. These are absolutely necessary. The rest can be whatever you want and how you decide to flex with them. And last thing before we'll set off to go, I know this was a long video, but I just want to show you guys how much starters there are in the deck. So these serve as starters, okay? These can serve as starters. This entire engine of zombies support can serve as starters. Like, all of these guys can serve as starters for what they do. Like, all of them, in some kind, shape, or form, will help you get two zombies on the board or whatever. All of these can serve as starters. This thing can serve as a starter. Like, all of these searchers can serve as starters. These can serve as starters. These can serve as starters. Also, these foolish barrels can serve as starters. Like, the amount of starters in the deck is so great now, and I think you kind of like starting to get the idea of like why I said like 60 is actually not a bad number, especially when you have starters, but like you don't want to see multiples of them. So overall, this is the deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or whatever you want, which I will leave those in the description, and I'm going to be a little bit more active there. Remember, creativity is the key in this game. Have a good day, guys. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you guys will stay up to my challenge, and if you do, like I said, Vendread's combo video coming out real soon. See you guys next time.